Warning, the voices heard in this video are made synthetically, using artificial intelligence. Nothing in this video reflects anything actually stated by the real-life individuals involved. This video is for entertainment purposes only, and serious political content will be avoided for that purpose. Enjoy!
Dead space with a fast pace and Joe Biden as your ace. Welcome back, viewers. Oh, okay, fuck my intro, I guess.
I rate that explosion 6.5 out of 10. That was worse than the medical charge explosion. Since it ended far quicker, it had potential, though, before being edged out.
Phrasing, please, you bomb-loving simp. Instead of rating explosions, why don't you rate Joe deaths between Dragon Age 2 and Dead Space? Bro is about to break past my 5 deaths in record time.
First off, Donald, we are not grouping in deaths from Dead Space and Dragon Age. Those are separate damn competitions. Secondly, if I could do an intro, for God's sake, boys, that would be great. Welcome back, viewers. We are hopping right into it, as Donald Yapping said, since we ended halfway through Chapter 4, but we are back. And to make up for the big delay, we are going to clear 2 chapters in this episode. Also, just ignore Donald's yappings. Just because I'm on Fraud Watch in Dragon Age 2 doesn't mean I'm on Fraud Watch here. I'm locked in.
Well, short chapters or no, we are back on the content train. And I'm loving the new personality here, Joe. Let's see you lock in. Also, speaking of new things here, we have another new gun to try out.
So Barack, tell me how the space laser is actually an engineering tool and not a military tool of mass destruction.
You can tell this thing is an engineering tool because the contact beam's damage is in the negatives. It practically heals the limbs of the space zombies.
I don't think that's entirely fair, although this might be the most underwhelming or forgotten of the dead space weapons, but it's still strong and has one-shot potential. Its biggest issue is just slow build-up and expensive ammo consumption. But as for your question, Donald, yes, this is a weapon for commercial mining. The C-99 Super Collider Contact Beam is a heavy engineering tool designed to pound and soften hard, raw minerals into smaller pieces. They made small beams for ores that are particularly compact, and placing them in larger machines might risk the ores inside.
It's interesting how this gun is the next stage of mining, as the flamethrower we just got last episode melts ice off the ore collected from space, and then the contact beam breaks it apart after. Nice little touch in terms of pacing, although I wonder if it was intentional.
It's good use of stop time, Joe. Way to not panic and stay locked in. This next area has these Sith lightning pillars, which we have a few ways to utilize if you are clever enough, Joe. Also, those necromorphs were different colors. You know what that means, boys.
Does it mean we found a shiny necromorph and I fucked up not using the Master Ball?
No, Joe, not that.
Does it mean those necromorphs have a lower credit score and can't use certain ishimura bathrooms?
No, Donald, you racist asshole. Those are the new necromorphs that get created by the infector, or the Diddy necromorphs, as you call them. You can tell by the change in appearance the skin hasn't decayed as quickly. That means there's an infector somewhere in this room, Joe, so look out.
Oh boy, my body is definitely ready for the Crawley boys. That's pretty nerve-wracking now that you told me that. I almost would have preferred to not know that. Speaking of Crawley boys, here are some more Crawley baby necromorphs. No blood on these guys, though, so this is easy goddamn money.
Joe, I seriously need to understand how in the hell your aim got better in this game. I know Solace is still in my Trump briefcase. So what the hell is giving you aim assist right now?
I've just gotten a little better and more used to these guys now. Also, why do I still hear boss music?
For food's not finished yet. There's a second crawler behind you, Joe.
Oh, my sweet cheeks. I'm not these great cheeks. Well, he scurried away to the corner, so I can't really reach him. I have to reposition now.
Joe, why the hell did you run into the tentacles? Never mind, I take back my previous statement. You're still the same old sleepy Joe. At least you're using a real man's weapon now.
Eat a dick, Donald. I lost sight of him. It's not like I have a kill streak wall hack or something.
Did that baby just kill itself on the shock pad?
Well, I guess that is the necromorph's solution to cover.
Well, they are supposed to be zombies, so they don't exactly recognize threats the same way we do. But a win is a win so good shit, Joe. It might not look like it, but you manipulated the AI into trying to find an angle on you, and the nearest one was right on the shock pad. That's why it's always a good idea to keep the environmental hazards where they are.
Joe, there's no way in hell that was intentional. Stop giving him some 1,000 IQ credit, Obama. Joe just got lucky.
Last I checked, luck is still a skill on the stat sheet, so I am big winning Donald. Also a refresher since it has been a while. If you're not watching the movie, which if you are, I love you, Pookie, and I hope you're winning son. But for the rest of you, we have to transfer power from non-essential parts of the ship back into the ADS cannons so we can stop the meteorites from destroying the ship. Hey Barry, I know you said they don't recognize threats the same way, but this is a little sad. Bro is killing himself by taking the car battery straight to the nipples.
My God, the marker really needs to step up its game. This is what a max luck build in Bethesda Fallouts must feel like.
I'm at a loss for words. I'm amazed we had 2 examples of the AI fucking up in a row. Goes to show that even with improved tactics, we still get improved problems. Also, it wouldn't be a Dead Space encounter without one necromorph being late to the battle.
I really hate when the body parts fly so far off that I can't grab them with biotics. But let's move on to the next section, shall we?
These big orange power boards remind me of a different colored version of the Jedi Archives. Is that just me, boys? Also, what the hell is every necromorph just gooning to car batteries? This is the third damn one in a row.
The babies yearn for the electrical outlets.
All right, to the game's credit, this one was scripted in the original too to show that the shock tiles are deadly. I guess we were supposed to go to this one first, but the navigation point trail led us to the other one first instead.
I have to admit, even if this section is easy as hell with the enemy types, the environmental dangers make this kind of fun. I imagine I'm supposed to just shoot everything in the legs or freeze them to kill them, but watching them run into it is way more satisfying.
Does he not realize?
Oh, a second, God, Tom. Where did the baby come from?
He climbed around the wall in the darkness. Joe, you need better dark vision. Also, no one say a goddamn word.
Your AI gooning goes out the window. These things just get off to being shocked instead of kink shaming. Let's give them what they want.
Holy shit, 1,500. That's a nice stack. You have a point, though, Donald. Kink shaming isn't cool, guys. I'm going to give this knife arm zombie exactly what he really wants. Let's get it, boys.
Yeah, just come a little closer, buddy.
Boop.
Yep, there you go, Joe. Now you're playing how the developers intended good shit.
I still hate this game and what it does to my pants, but I can't lie. I'm starting to see why people play these kinds of games. There's such a unique feeling towards taking these monsters of pure horror and making them almost goofy by how bad you clap them up.
I mean, you're just a lucky asshole, Sleepy, but I kind of see what you're saying. I get the same feeling after owning a Dead by Daylight killer who's overpowered or glitching out and looping an invincible enemy you're supposed to run from.
Well, they finally added the bloody enemies back just to remind you and the viewers that we are still playing on New Game Plus.
They still die to the shocky pads all the same. I'll just try to aggro them and see if they run to me.
Bro is treating this horror game like an actual shooter, and somehow it's working. The crawlers are officially on Fraud Watch now.
Can I get off Fraud Watch then, Donald?
Hell no. Now lock in. You've got another skill check ahead.
Yeah, Joe, I would go back and save here first because as soon as you step past the stasis recharge station.
Oh, fuck, now I really hear boss music. You shit, haka waka waka funky.
Well, at least you didn't panic.
It's the brutes from the last episode's twin brother, and he's out for revenge. Got to admit, these guys know how to make an entrance. Bro charged through the electric boards like they were made of plaster.
Barry, I'm assuming I can't trick him into the electric currents like the space babies, can I?
Nope, you're going to have to take out this guy the old-fashioned way and go all the way around to reach the weak point.
Well, even if I have to work for it, as long as I can still hit it from the back, we should be good.
Heavy pause.
Damn, Joe, you gave that brute some fantastic back shots, bro. Is on his knees just like his brother.
Praising for the love of God.
Remember, Barry, you were the one who wanted to play this. Well, that calls it for the bosses in this episode now. I just have to loot and solve the wacky inflatable tube puzzle and walk all the way up to the cannons for the final PowerPoint. Do you have any lore to give us, Barry? I think we have a lot of walking to do.
I have one in mind about the ADS cannons, as they are a primary factor in the side game Dead Space Extraction. One of the two main characters, Nathan McNeil, actually turns them off himself so that he can escape the Ishimura before the Kellian crew arrives. He had to do this because the ADS cannons were targeting every ship in the vicinity as a quarantine measure issued by the captain. This was to prevent anyone on Aegis 7 from reaching the ship after the marker was recovered. Well, since that was the captain's true purpose here, and once he had it, he didn't want anyone to interrupt their grand design, and he thought the survivors affected by the marker would do just that. McNeil and a team made it on the ship from the planet, but it was shot down and destroyed, and he ended up turning it off after grabbing a shuttle from the executive wing.
Wait, so you're telling me that if this side protagonist didn't turn off the cannons, the Kellian would have just gotten blasted and we would have been game ended in the first cutscene?
Now, I trust Chen and Haley. They could definitely fly us into the ship safely, and maybe with the shipwreck, we could have stayed more together and have some more boots on the ground.
You are coping hard. Those two barely landed the ship with the autopilot failure. Isaac had to help them for God's sake. And the only reason the party in Dead Space Extraction made it to the ship is because they knew the guns were going to fire on the ship. If those cannons got a good free shot on us, we would have been blown to pieces before making it on.
This is why I don't heal your ass. When you're overextended in Rivals, Donald, no trust in the team.
And that's why you have the most deaths in Rivals, Dead Space, and Dragon Age 2, Sleepy.
All right, Donald, you only get to brag about Dragon Age 2. We don't record our online games, and Joe is literally the only one playing Dead Space. You only get to brag about your deaths after you start up Dead Space 2.
Thank you, Barry. I was about to start barking again.
Oh, fuck!
Boys, why do I feel a wet puddle on the floor?
It was simply our gamer fluids expelling since they overflowed from the amount of locked in we are about to be for this series, right, Joe?
Yeah, sure thing. Let me just get the Secret Service to clean my office of our pure skill Donald.
It's not your office, you dementia-ridden asshole. I will be the one to usher the staff to clean.
My God, this is going to be a long 4 years. Also good work having the flamethrower ready. Joe, glad to see you remember some of the scripted encounters still.
Sure, let's go with that. Shall we also shit in my cereal? There was 2 of them.
Bro is about to creep up on you. What's the play here?
Imitsu no bairente kuriku asa onhiki te hiratochi.
My God, that really wasn't a one-off, both of you. Goddamn weebs really do speak Japanese. Also, good work using the pulse rifle. I feel like you've used it more here than you have in the last 3 hours of gameplay.
Well, I'm going to slot it out this episode once I get the line gun anyway, so consider this its last hurrah. I think my final loadout is going to be a line gun, plasma cutter, and flamethrower just to finish targets off and deal with the inflation porn boys.
Massive L, I knew you didn't have what it takes to be a soldier main.
You're not going to use the force gun at all.
I definitely will use it to show off the gun, but a flamethrower just feels safer to use in terms of ammo efficiency and range.
Well, you're the one with the controller, big dog. The switch and consequences are yours. You make a good point about loadouts, though we can talk more about that in a minute. For now, we should probably cover the differences between this section now versus in the original.
Oh, Lord Barry, you know just mentioning the topic might be a trigger. Remember Veilguard?
I'm sorry, Barack, but were you referencing the fact that there was a dumbass, stupid-ass, lame-ass gameplay and movement-restricting-ass turret section in the original game, and that it's replaced by controlling your normal movement and gunplay now? Because if you are, then I hope you only wanted to talk about the fact that it was terrible, annoying, and one of the worst turret sections in gaming. Which, by the way, is the equivalent of saying that the Black Death is one of the worst plagues. It had no story relevance. The camera changes to you just sitting down in a gun seat and slowly, awkwardly moving a crosshair around to shoot hard to see asteroids that could blow up the ship. Whoever coded that turret section, I hope you step on a Lego. No, wait, that's not enough. I hope you step on a Lego while finding out your McDonald's fries are cold while your job texts you that you have to work a double on Christmas, all while your wife is upstairs with her hot yoga instructor who is 15 years younger than you.
That was insanely specific, Donald. Tell us how you really feel.
Yes, well, viewers, if you skipped out on our Veilguard series, consider this your lore fact of the day. Donald hates turret sections almost as much as he hates mages and healthy foods. But if you couldn't read between the lines of the ramblings, the point I was trying to make is in the original Isaac had to calibrate the turrets by manually shooting the turret, and the controls were incredibly unwieldy on controllers. The asteroids also varied in size, which determined how many shots they took to be destroyed, but were also far harder to see because of the brightness and graphics at the time. Although maybe our viewers who weren't in their 60s at the time of Dead Space original release had a different experience from Donald here. In the original, there was also an achievement for keeping the hull integrity above 50% during this section called Don't Get Cocky Kid, which is a reference to the turret fighting scene in Star Wars 4: A New Hope, where Luke controls the turret in the Millennium Falcon.
I definitely prefer this turret section to the original like Donald just yapped about in this scene. You keep control of Isaac and you get some zero-G open travel to play around with. And every asteroid is destroyed in one hit now. The only problem I have is they spawned some zombie babies on this map when I'm supposed to be focusing on destroying the asteroids. It's annoying as hell.
Yeah, that sounds like a skill issue to me, Sleepy. Your poor eyesight in not finding the enemies is not my problem. Yep, and here's middle management Hammond here to remind us just that also I hear a sound in the back. Is that the Diddy Morp?
No, I'm pretty sure that's one of the meteorites hitting the ship Donald or another sound that shouldn't exist in space. Also, don't diss my cooking. It's not like they made me fail the objective. Long as the food gets out of the kitchen, I can still say I cooked.
Fair enough, Joe, good work. Don't forget to grab the next rig upgrade on the side here too. That way we have 2 out of the 7 now, since we are still committed to giving our viewers a guide for the upgrades.
Isaac.
Oh boy, here comes Daniels to cause more division among the squad than a Congress member doing a filibuster.
Here comes one of the biggest for the plot moments in this series. I know this might sound ironic coming from us, but how the hell can't Isaac tell this is a poorly made deepfake? There's massive cuts in between the lines and she moves in different areas when saying all of them.
Even YouTube poops from 2008 had better editing than this also. Didn't we cover that Daniels already knows Nicole's real fate? So isn't she actively sending us into a trap here? That doesn't seem smart.
Dr. Dre was right, these chicks ain't shit.
I don't think Daniels knows yet she was the one who told us about this deep fake, and it doesn't further anyone's goals but Isaac's, which she doesn't care about. She could have easily just kept this information, and we would still be progressing with the ship-wide cure. Also, we have a new necromorph finally up ahead, Joe the Divider.
Oh yeah, this goddamn thing. I only remember this thing because it has the creepiest unique death animation in the game. This goddamn thing rips Isaac's head off and starts shambling around with it if the head part gets the final hit on Isaac. I wonder if that's what happened to the dude who told us to make us whole.
Now that was definitely the marker just pulling a prank on us. But Joe, the bigger question is, how do you know what the unique kill animations are? How much have you goddamn died in this game before?
Blow me Donald, I don't know every unique kill animation. One of these guys caught me off guard in Dead Space 2 was all. I've seen them all on a YouTube compilation before though.
That's the Quitter Talk Joe. I have intentionally died to every necromorph on the original and remake, just to watch it on my own quality screen instead of a YouTube highlight.
Barack, first of all, you are a goddamn nerd. You don't have to optimize everything. And secondly, don't diss YouTube. It's kind of our bread and butter now. Also, Joe, what kind of whack-ass trade deal are you making here? You've spent the last 5 minutes selling our ammo.
Well, we unlocked our third armor upgrade, so we might as well capitalize on it. Since our plasma cutter is fully upgraded, we can slot in a few more upgrades for our armor now anyway. I will be real though, I can barely notice a difference between the look of the Tier 2 armor and the Tier 3.
The chest piece has a little bit more spikes, and the arm does too, but while we upgrade our armor and head back into the totally not obvious trap, do you have a comment question prepped for today, Joe?
You know I do, Barry. I'm going to go right back to the loadout discussion we talked about earlier. Viewers, if you had to pick a selection of 4 guns or weapons to use to survive this game, what would they be? You don't have to limit yourself to the 7 guns only available in this game. By the way, if there's a gun from the later titles or a gun you could headcanon, let us know. For me, I would give it to the line gun, plasma cutter, javelin gun, and flamethrower for emergencies. If I was going off the ammunition logic of this game, I would remove the javelin gun though. I love the heavy-hitting type of guns that can be accurate and reliable while having a wide-range gun for more specialized threats like the pregnant. What about your picks, boys?
Well, you know I'm a sniper main, so I have to give myself a seeker rifle from the later games. I don't care how unoptimal it is. I can still snipe with the best of them. I think after that, give me the Aegis 7 Survivalist from Dead Space 3, which is a combination of the plasma cutter and the Ripper, and then finally the force gun to deal with the large-scale threats. I'm going to stick with the gameplay limitations, and I think those 3 guns alone cover all ranges in most situations.
L take for both of you liberals. Let me show you how a real warrior main gets things done with his Dead Space loadout. Give me the plasma cutter, the pulse rifle, and then a chainsword from the Warhammer series to make those space zombies taste what heresy gets them like a real space marine should. That is all I need to solo everything, even the brutes and bosses.
All right, another expected pick from Donald here, but a chainsword might just rival the Biden pinch slap. Anyways, viewers, let us know your loadout choices for this game in the comments below. Our editor reads everyone, and his favorite will be featured next episode. But with that being said, Donald, mine, featuring our favorite comment from the last episode.
Sure thing, Sleepy. Our featured comment comes from Floating Skull, who says their favorite type of horror is psychological and cosmic horror, which is a base choice, since finding something indescribable can certainly be scarier than a dude with a mask or an 8-foot-tall muscle mommy. Also, your comment about all your years consuming horror media definitely hits home for our editor, and I'm sure a lot of the fans too. Thank you for your comment, and can't wait to hear your ideal weapon loadout for this game.
Well, while the featured comment was being made, we ran into the face of unitology in this game. Dr. Mercer Bro was definitely about to diddle Isaac if we had a seat.
Another wacky-ass cultist who needs to embrace the true religion of Sandel instead of a marker that wasn't even made by gods but whole-ass humans.
What the fuck is going on here? Where did this dude even find this many alive survivors that haven't been converted yet? We were just here 2 episodes ago, too. How did he have time to do all this? It can't have been more than a few hours.
I'm guessing more people fell for the deepfake that Mercer made, but as we are going to learn a little later, many of them were from hydroponics looking for a specific item in cryogenics. Either way, Mercer certainly is the most psychotic of the unitologists that we meet in the series. In the later games, most unitologists are zealots, but Mercer, especially in the remake, seems to use unitology as an excuse to do immoral medical experiments on others like the sociopath he is.
Your yapping is on point. I mean, look at this shit. He made a screaming wall zombie that gives birth to mini zombie tentacles.
Jesus Christ, this shit is annoying. I have to kill him to stop the babies. But at the same time, the babies are spawning everywhere. and doing damage to me. Plus, there's a goddamn jumpy boy trying to sniff my ass crack, too.
This baby maker is the guardian, and there is actually an easy strategy we can cover later on how to kill these guys. But flamethrower isn't a terrible strategy since you need to hit all the tentacles to kill this thing. So a wide-range gun does do the trick nicely. Stasis can also stop the babies from spawning, but looks like you're about to finish the screaming boy off anyway.
I remember in Dead Space 3, the Guardian starts summoning infectors too, so this is nothing sleepy. Also, I'm not sure if the enemies are just that weak or our armor and health hit a major peak. But despite these enemies clapping you up, you've barely taken damage so far, Sleepy.
Well, we did just get a major upgrade. I'm not sure if we are even supposed to get the suit this early, considering it left us broke. But we are about as tanky as we can be right now. Though maybe the Guardian babies just don't hit hard.
I'm going with them not hitting hard. If we had a bloodied necromorph, you would be singing a different tune, Joe. Also up ahead, we have a container that we can unlock now that we have security clearance to, which is the proper way to reward backtracking in video games. However, this only exists in the remake since it modeled its map design from the original in 2008. Most modern games just make maps so big that they hope your brain doesn't notice you're going back and forth all the time.
You can just say Veilguard does that, Barack, and keep it pushing. One of these days we are going to run out of older games to fall back on. It's only a matter of time. Last note about Veilguard, though. What is EA's obsession with putting in bright orange glowy bits that you need to destroy to progress?
Do you have a lore reason for that, like the Red Barrel's berry? Also, that Leaper was really courteous to let me change guns when I ran out of ammo. I was right to call these guys underwhelming in episode 1.
I don't think you should call them underwhelming. You just got clapped up by a bloodied one in the decontamination room last episode, Joe. As for the orange objective, I don't know why they decide to make it like that, but I imagine it's because in both games the orange stands out against a blighted black and brown background while not having the same color of red as explosive barrels. In terms of psychology, orange and red elicit many of the same vibrant feelings, so it speaks to people who haven't even played games that you should shoot this.
It's extra gross that we just learned all that black and brown blight is literal dead flesh that is growing and expanding on the damn walls. Makes me feel not as angry being slowed by this stuff when you find out it's people.
Joe, did this stuff grow in excess in the White House when you were in office?
Eat a dick, Donald. Also, my future sight is going crazy right now with my butt clenches. I am going to pre-smash this door lock.
Well, we have one of the more memorable scene improvements coming up compared to the original. We are about to meet our secondary antagonist of the first Dead Space.
Well, before we have our unitologist enforced yapping, let me loot around this room. A little bit something tells me I'm not going to get another chance.
Not true, Sleepy. We are going to do a whole loop again in like 15 minutes. But knowing your forgetful ass, I will allow the pre-loot fest.
Our time to pull 11 labs and disable the deepfake boys. If we can't have fun in 2025, no one can.
The computer really put our whole government name on blast. That shit is louder than a self-checkout when it asks you to weigh your apples.
Isaac, I love you, but did your ass really fall for a second hologram? What kind of low perception build are we running, chat?
That was the most tragic natural one on the insight check in Isaac's his whole life. I bet he wakes up 10 years later and still shudders that he fell for that.
This is an embarrassing pose to be in. We are losing aura by the second.
We were colleagues, you know. Dr. Chalice. Mercer.
Oh no, he has a nail gun. Better watch out, guys. He might install a new carpet in this room. Unfreeze me right the fuck now and I will show you a real man's weapon, asshole.
All right, we have been frozen for well over 15 seconds now. Even at max upgrades, we should be about to pop off and bitch slap this guy. What kind of hacks is this dude using?
Considering he does this twice in the series, I imagine he has some heavily modded form of stasis that lasts far longer. Either that or he overclocked his module in preparation for monologues. He was a notable preacher for unitology even before all the mad science experiments.
I have nothing but smoke for this guy and any future unitologist. Your guy's leader is literally voiced by the same dude who fled Ostagar and replaced our big bro in Origins.
Donald, is that the only reason you don't like unitology?
No, the main reason is the Sandel heresy, but it's certainly in the top 5.
I just know competitors in the Petty Olympics start sweating when they see Donald coming. Back to the gameplay changes, though, this scene was far different in the original, as instead of being frozen, Mercer is simply on the opposite end of the glass talking to us. His unitology speech is completely different as well, since the remake gives you far more knowledge on the church from the player's perspective, as opposed to the original, so this speech is more long-winded. In the original, he more so just talks about the necromorphs being humanity's children and the next stage of human evolution before releasing his zombie creation. Also, like everyone else, he has a different voice actor from the original game, but in a strange change, He is voiced by a Pakistani-American voice actor, whereas in the original he was voiced by an Iranian-American voice actor.
Barack, why does that last part matter?
It doesn't. Just thought I would mention the change is important or no. Also, Joe, are you ready? Here you know the mechanics here, right?
Holy shit, this dude tweaking. But that being said, yeah, I'm locked in, Barry. It's why I equipped the contact beam. I've only really used it for meme fights, and I don't want to waste good ammo on a dude who can't die by any normal means.
Daniel's opening the door here might be the most clutch thing she has done in this mission, besides maybe the first scene after Chen dies.
Niger Undayo, Joe Star family secret technique.
Well, you might have tagged out of the fight, Sleepy, but the job's not done yet according to the violins.
Oh, God, get these sperm cells off me. I was not prepared to handle all these kids.
Heavy pause.
Damn, Joe, even the little tissue necromorphs are clapping you up today. This is sad.
Oh, God damn it. That's why he pushed all the dead bodies in here. This is some next level high IQ play.
Well, we did enter this area knowing it was going to be a trap. We should have expected this kind of next level setup. Anyways, it looks like the theme for this episode is laid out pretty clearly now, because we have to backtrack back to the surgery room to progress.
I would normally despise progressing further into the trap, but I know what's just up ahead past the next room, so I'm locked into fighting this immortal asshole. I've been waiting for a chance with this gun since you all told me I had to continue the Dead Space series.
Unwise, Mr. Clark. My hunter may regenerate.
Wait, what was this thing's name?
Yeah, that's right, Sleepy. After pardoning your son, he's become a willing unitologist and a buff tweaker space zombie. Great parenting.
Donald, this might be too far. You've been doing this a year now. You know what this is going to cause.
Oh my God, Hunter, I tried to warn you about this. I knew the drugs were only a gateway towards something more devious like space zombieism. It doesn't have to be this way. I mean, look at these lanky Edward Scissorhands looking at zombies. Is this the life you want? I might not be able to pardon you anymore, but there's still a place for you here. Just come home.
All right, this on-brand featured dementia episode was pretty sad, I can't lie. I was just expecting him to air out something embarrassing, but this is a whole goddamn Dr. Phil episode out here.
Donald, I don't know if giving him this episode is helping him or nerfing him, because he just took down 3 necromorphs, and his reaction time is somehow better.
Yes, Hunter, of course you can see my stop time in action again. I totally understand it's a really nifty ability. Well, while we progress further, why don't we check out another cool ability I have. I have been getting special clearance and I can open previously locked doors.
Hey, Joe, in that locked room is your favorite gun, the line gun. Care to tell me about that?
All right, the line gun from the hit game Dead Space, which started back in 2008. And my 2 meanie president friends have forced me to play the 2023 remake, where the gun gets a laser mine secondary fire that makes this thing goated as hell. I've been waiting for you beautiful. It's time to show space zombies the power of a space double-barrel shotgun. Also, if it wasn't obvious, I slotted the pulse gun into storage before entering this room too. That way I can maximize the line gun ammo that can drop here.
Joe, these next 4 years are going to be interesting because this dementia is going to stir more and more inside the corn husk. Back to the gun though, this is just another lame-ass engineering tool. Not a real man's weapon, so tell us how the space nerds and Minecraft role players use it, Barack.
Sure thing, it's the second to last time I can do this, since we only have 1 gun after this. The M822 handheld ore cutter line gun is not only a heavy-duty plasma cutter in gameplay, but also in lore. Both tools are used to cut through ore and metals for mining and repair purposes. However, the line gun is used to cut through much larger auras, while the plasma cutter is for smaller, more precise cuts. This is why the plasma cutter can swap between horizontal and vertical cuts, while the line gun can just cut vertically. The gun's line of fire can also go through other necromorphs, unlike the plasma cutter, which makes it a good gun for horde attacks.
Unlike the plasma cutter, though, you have to time your shots far more precisely, but just look at that cutting damage the wall gooners don't stand a chance, bro. Had to go to his second wave instantly.
Looks like the gooner gave birth to a whole-ass crawler before dying, though. Also, what is the unitologist yapping about, bro? Is already turning on his other cultist buddy?
And also 2 questions. Who laid out all these candles around the medical room? Is Mercer trying to scare us? Or date us? Also, why does he have a Diddy necromorph laid out like a trophy in his office?
Honestly, I was getting a few sus vibes when bro had us under stasis. I wouldn't be surprised if bro had further plans.
Jesus Christ, you 2 candles are a normal sign for a religious ceremony. I'm pretty sure the only thing this guy wants to date is a hunter and himself in a mirror. As for why he has an infector, well, Mercer is obsessed with convergence, and the infector is the most direct way convergence happens. He is so obsessed with these things that in the original after his big villain speech in chapter 10, he releases an infector to turn him into a necromorph after shooting himself in the head to let the infector convert him faster.
Also, goddamn a survivor who can say more than a gurgle, or just a mutter saying, hold the line. How are you holding up, buddy? Looks like you spilled a lot of strawberry jelly there. Can I get you a towel?
Bro is the truest NPC to exist. He had a pierced lung and is bleeding out. but he resurrected himself because he could sense the main character was in the room, and he had to tell him the next main quest objective.
Bro is as real as those survivors who were bleeding out, but still left messages in their blood to shoot them in the limbs, so the main character would know what to do.
If you were wondering why Mercer had so many survivors alive to experiment on, this is why. Elizabeth Cross from Hydroponics sent a team to retrieve liquid nitrogen to make an enzyme to counteract a unique necromorph, the Leviathan, who clung onto the food storage of the ship even before the marker was extracted from Aegis 7. The Leviathan has been slowly poisoning the air of the ship and has already completely taken over hydroponics. Cross sent half her team to get the last ingredient for the cure, which, as we see, they all got killed by Mercer, while the other half of the team stayed to try to contain the outbreak. We will learn their fate shortly. For now, we need to run before you die from the Leviathan poison.
Jesus. It smells like skunk in this bitch. Someone needs to calm down on the grass smoking.
Damn, Mercer did all this and didn't even bother sharing some. We all have issues, buddy. The least you can do is pass the roach.
Both of you sound like the biggest boomer fight agents imaginable. I even want to call you out for it and hide my shit. Also, Joe, you technically don't have to go the long way here. You could have also gone back the way you came, although that way spawns additional necromorphs. This way is clear for the most part.
Damn, I wish I knew that, but I already took the elevator, so I guess we are committed to the long way around. At least it's safer. As long as I got my Jordan mag boots and my oxygen upgrades, we should be good.
Joe, the last time you had to manage oxygen, it did not go well for you. You had like 10 seconds before death. Also, I just want to point out that in a panicked situation, you immediately fled to the morgue with your fellow corpses.
Eat a dick, Donald.
Oh, look, boys, we found the cause of all the green smoke in the ship. Looks like Hunter has been spending too much time in the vents.
Oh, hey, Hunter, we can catch up later. I have to clean out the air at the moment. Also, Barry, I thought you said this area was safe.
I said it was mostly safe. You should have read the fine print, Joe. Also, the timer is ticking away here. Do we really have time to stop and shoot at a baby?
It's fine, Barry, and armor upgrades we trust, and see we got a free $100 out of it.
Joe, I know you're poor, but $100 doesn't even cover the ammo you spent killing the baby.
I don't control the AI drops, Donald, anyway. I made it to safety. There we go. Isaac fixes engines. Isaac fixes the vents. Isaac fixes everything.
That sounds like a damn home repair slogan. You trying to stay busy in Delaware, Sleepy? Also, damn, all that green was from hydroponics. It sounds like they are growing more than tomatoes on this ship.
Well, we have one final fight to grab the liquid nitrogen for the episode, Joe. What's the plan here?
Well, we got a nice 10,000 from the Ruby semiconductor in Mercer's room, so I'm going to buy the first upgrade schematic for the line gun. And some extra ammo, then it's time to do a last round of upgrades before we take care of this problem for good. I'm thinking we get some extra stasis duration for the fights ahead, and then put the rest into the line gun, so we have a solid one-shot machine for future fights.
So we are already giving up on the pulse rifle being useful?
The pulse rifle was never going to be an option in this game, Donald. If you want it to be your main go-to in Dead Space 2, that's fine, but it has already seen plenty of screen time. Besides, with the amount of nodes we get in a normal first playthrough, typically we have enough to fully upgrade the suit and 2 weapons, and I imagine Joe is going to put all his remaining stocks in the line gun.
Massive L, you don't even deserve this loot fest up ahead if it's just gonna all go into this mid-ass gun, which is an in-lore copy-paste of the plasma cutter.
Well, you all forced me to play this game, so I at least get to build the way I want. Also, while there's the liquid nitrogen right here, it was so simple to grab and take it with no resistance from the other side. Looks like we finally got lucky, boys. It's not like we have been running into trap after trap this entire episode.
See, now this is more on brand for a villain's speech tucked behind a safety glass where he can monologue without worrying about the stasis wearing off. Unlike the first speech, this one is more or less the same as the original. The only difference is Mercer mentioning Nicole, as well as giving a little more respect to Isaac at how well he kills necromorphs.
You know how safe is this dude really behind the glass? I mean, Daniels is an expert hacker, and she already has shown that she listens in on all our conversations. How easy would it be for her to unlock these doors while this dude was monologuing and blast him one good time with the line gun?
God, that reminds me of how many people in D&D tried to kill the big bad while they were giving their speech, because you could do the same damn thing in Baldur's Gate 3. Also, what the hell is Bro's plan? Was he really hoping to make it to Earth? Wouldn't they just blast the ship out of the sky?
Mercer definitely isn't aware that EarthGov already knows this ship is Fubar, and the most the ishimura would do is crash and burn in the vicinity of Earth. I imagine, though, even if he knew Earth government knew about all this, he would still try to do it, since he is that convinced of the marker's power and convergence to win the day.
Sort of reminds me of the copium the collectors had in Mass Effect 2, thinking they could take Earth before the Alliance clapped them up. But that being said, it's time for round 2 with your son, Hunter Joe.
No problem, it's been real Hunter, but it's time for this game to end Taste the Power of the Line Gun and get 3 shot along with any bloody babies you brought for backup. I thought pardoning was enough, but I think it's time for you to chill out.
For E.G. Lane.
All right, let me try again. Hunter, I know you want mercy, but your condition has left me kind of cold to your pleas of mercy.
Ray Joe, for the love of God, you are not Schwarzenegger playing Mr. Freeze. Just stop with the ice puns and loot your prize already. These cringe puns did more damage than the line gun did to the crawlers.
Damn, everyone really is a critic. Viewers, you all better back me up in the comments below. All that being said, how did we already lose Hammond? Wasn't he just walking to the crew deck?
Middle management Hammond probably folded as soon as he had to do any legwork that wasn't sitting in a chair waiting for Isaac to do something.
Well, we will learn a little later that Hammond had to take the vents to get to the crew deck since that was safer than just walking through the hallways. The crew deck has a high concentration of cultists, so I imagine there is some signal interference as well. Finally, the marker is starting to affect all of us since we have been on this ship, likely a few hours to almost a day at this point, so he could just be experiencing some bad marker visions.
Time is really messed up in this game. It's hard to believe the entire game events take place in a day. And here I thought POTUS had a stressful year.
Anyways, Barack, didn't you say something earlier about this tissue sample being the first step showing the fall of the 2 cult doctors?
This is part of the lore about how Mercer made his Hunter, which we can delve into during the side quest Medical Malpractice after Chapter 5. We end up having to go back to this room again to start the quest anyway. As for what Mercer had to say about Dr. Kine, this starts to show how the power dynamic shifted from Kine being the top medical officer on board the Ishimura to Mercer taking control not only because of his willingness to work with the marker, but Kine slowly losing it to the marker's influence, as he is already starting to hear and talk to his dead wife again.
Also, is there any way I can get into this center room, Barry?
Joe, I appreciate the dedication to the grind, but for the love of God, focus on killing the space zombies first. Also, aren't there some side objectives we need to finish too?
No, Joe, this is one of the few rooms we can't enter, despite seeing into. And as for side objectives, we need to go to Nicole's office in medical to scan the dead tissue we picked up, and we can also backtrack to the zero-G therapy room to get the line rack schematics and some extra loot, but first we. Patrol should head up and unlock the tram, the hydroponics. By doing some backtracking, it will make things quicker in the long run.
Oh, right, I remember this room. This is where I felt that tingle in the back of the skull that caused me too. Noi, copii lui Mercer, ne-am săturat de atacurile opresive și valatele Earthgov asupra drepturilor noastre de a ne închina după bunul plac. Programul de funcționare pentru biserică. Oh, and also this is where I fixed my first objective in episode 1 with the broken tram. Crazy how far we have already come.
Joe, for the love of God, stop breaking into more old man ramblings. Are you hearing your Grey Warden calling or something?
No, I don't hear anything, and I don't know what you mean.
So, Joe, if you keep this up, I'm going to have to take control of the playthrough. This shit is downright too immersive. Also, we unlocked the tram passage now, so we are free to backtrack to medical if we want to, but I see you looking for extra lore first.
Well, it was sitting right there just asking to be picked up. My eyes aren't the best, but the glow helps.
Not surprising, the first audio log we get in hydroponics is about goddamn plants, all the zombies running around, and this girl's biggest concern is some vegetables.
I know vegetables are really scary for you, Donald, and probably a foreign concept as well. Also, boys, I think hours later I'm ready to face my bathroom fear again.
Oh boy, Joe, I don't know about this one. I can't handle another Biden dog crash out.
Don't worry, I will be fine. What's the worst that could happen? Oh shit, poop zombies! Fumpa, Arv.
Well, hey, at least you remain calm, Sleepy.
My fellow Americans, I would like to apologize for screaming poop zombies when I got scared. That was unprofessional.
Well, hey, Joe, unprofessional or no, you went into a bathroom without dying and got some more money for it. I would call that a successful mission. With the looting done, let's cut ahead to medical. We have 3 main stops we have to go to, the first being right here in the medical offices to scan the tissue. This starts the quest premeditated malpractice tracking the story of Harris, who we learned about it briefly in Nicole's office in Chapter 2, before being transferred to Dr. Mercer by Kine.
Damn, if our girlfriend was able to keep working with Harris, we might not have had to fight Wolverine Hunter over here. Also, this area has a super high chance of spawning another decontamination wave of space zombies, similar to the scripted attack the first time you come here.
Possible contagion. Authorize.
Harris, what did Mercer do to you?
Goddamn, of all these new additions to the remake, this one has got to be the most annoying. It's a glorified backtracking simulator.
Yeah, but it's a backtracking simulator that gets our bag up Donald, so it will be worth it. After this, let's go grab the schematics for the line gun ammo. It's right in the area before you do the first spacewalk. There's also another power node here, too. So this is an easy loot fest for your trouble.
Damn, bro is tweaking out.
Good to see the remake still has some issues.
We technically could have gotten this before first meeting Dr. Mercer to save some extra time and extra ammo expense too, but the amount of lockers in this room make it worth it. The last stop is the intensive care unit where we watch the girl slice a dude's neck open on a surgery table.
We also missed this audio log earlier. Apparently Mercer likes to just record himself torturing his patients. In case sending immortal necromorphs and freezing us wasn't enough of a reason to want to give him a plasma bullet to the face.
That requires puncturing the frontal bone just above the glabella.
This dude keeps his medical logs as his own personal snuff films. Given how he acts about everything else, I wouldn't be surprised to find out he cleaned himself off after making these. Also, we are really over here learning about the hunter who was a goddamn mini-boss villain origin story over here. There's no way this game wasn't co-written by you, Barack. They really started focusing on every C-tier NPC in the remake.
I'm sure plenty of people appreciate the lore enrichment the remakes offer, but if you don't like the lore, most of these side quests end up giving you loot, or in this case, a upgraded stasis module, like the one Mercer used on us that end up giving a stronger stasis freeze, not just a slow.
Fine, that's great for them, but I'd still rather watch a third goddamn Chiefs versus Eagles Super Bowl this Sunday than backtrack to every little closet on this ship.
Given your love of Inquisition, I would have thought you would love backtracking. Also, Harris really needs to have a better threat detector. There's no goddamn reason to trust Mercer with anything, let alone performing surgery on you.
And despite all this, Brandt over here is still only the second most incompetent Harris we know, right, boys?
This whole episode has just been stray shots at people related to me.
I'm more surprised it took Donald this long to make a Harris joke. Our editor must have been asleep at the wheel with that one. Also, the reason Brent over here is so trusting of Mercer is because of his exposure to the marker on Aegis 7. Brandt hasn't been able to sleep without being medicated. Also, the process Mercer does here, both with the woman on the audio logs and with Brandt, is inserting necromorph material into the pupil of the eye in the hopes of being able to perceive and transcribe the marker's signal. Mercer hoped if the signal could be translated, then convergence could truly begin. Also, this process is the same one that EarthGov would use on Isaac to create more markers in Dead Space 2. Considering all of this was added to the remake, it is likely put here as a reference.
The marker's closed. It's been trying to show me. They're hungry. They're coming. They'll make us whole. Doctor, I see it now.
Well, we have to wait until Chapter 7 to do the next part of this quest in Nicole's quest. So for now, let's continue on to hydroponics. We got an actual boss to kill.
So this scene here shows that every part of the ship has security projectors pretty much. I guess the future involves 3D cameras, able to project every motion you do in any given area. Getting away with anything has got to be impossible with Big Brother Ishimura always watching.
People me and Donald's age could get a security warning like this telling us the store is closed and we would still just flat out ignore it. Just like Isaac is about to do right now himself. Also, Cross, why does that sound kind of familiar?
Cross is Jacob Temple's girlfriend, who we have heard about a few times from Jacob's audio logs and Nicole's own audio logs as well. Jacob Temple wanted to save Cross, but between having to repair several of the system's kind sabotaged and creating a resistance outpost in mining, he was never able to make the journey over to hydroponics to save her, which bears a similar story to how Isaac is never able to properly search for Nicole since other people keep sending him to do side quests too.
The engineer's job is never done, boys. With that being said, let's go synthesize a cure for the green gas. Thankfully, unlike Novarea, we don't have to do a quick time event to make the cure we just slotted in and get to business.
Joe, your list of struggles in games is the most random assortment I've seen in all my years. You struggle with a quick time event, but then you finish Baldur's Gate 3 on honor mode as a Dambard.
It's no different than you getting platinum in Marvel Rivals. But a turret section gives you a brain aneurysm.
You two bickering is exactly why the ship's AI tells us not to ingest the enzyme after we make it. Because I know damn well neither of you are paying attention to what's going on here. Also, hi Elizabeth, sorry about your team earlier. They got experimented on and killed by another unitologist disguised as an actual member of society and medical.
Massive L from Isaac and the game developers that he actually heeds her warning. And they don't give us an option to just crack open the door and get insta-killed by the boss because we didn't do the objective. Would have been way more memorable and would have done numbers on a YouTube video too.
That's true. It's always great for player agency to let players attempt something suicidal and maybe give them a unique death animation for their trouble, just like trying to run straight into the Vault 87 door in Fallout 3.
I prefer if the game doesn't try to kick me in the balls from behind and just tell me I can't go here yet.
Yeah, because you were the average gamer that the lobotomy markers were made for.
And your ass is the reason they made weight limits in Cars Double D. Anyways, Elizabeth, difficult methods are our bread and butter. We have been doing errands for everyone else that video calls us, so we might as well help you out too. People on our rig might as well say, would you kindly?
Like you said, an engineer's job is never done, Joe. Also, it's kind of you, Elizabeth, to name one of the necromorphs. For us, we rarely get a origin for the name. It's usually just the codex or wiki that tells us these things.
Dead Space 2 multiplayer did wonders for the names of these guys too, I imagine. Before then, people had to do an Internet Explorer search or watch the credits to get the name. Anyways, with the next mission served up to us, we should start wrapping up for this episode, boys.
That sounds good, Donald. Viewers, next time I will be starting back up in Dragon Age 2 handling some more side quests before our Deep Roads expedition. But we also have plans on another special in the near future. So if you see something different on the subscription feed, don't be alarmed.
Yeah, here's a few line gun upgrades to wrap up the video, boys. Thank you all for watching. Don't forget to like the video to thumb my ass and to answer the comment question about your ideal loadout in Dead Space 1 to earn the feature for the next Dead Space episode. Our next episode will be Barry continuing the side quest grind in Dragon Age 2. If you like Dragon Age, feel free to join Fox Discord for video previews and updates. If you like President's content across the multiverse, feel free to join AI Force 1, where Fox is a verified creator along with several other talented creators. We are about halfway through the first Dead Space now, so stay tuned. But for now, stay safe, Biden out.